Yeah, so again, it's your boy, Mr. Check My Resume. We about to get into the 0-day expiration call. As I always do in the beginning, I like to give out a disclaimer to folks regarding these 0-day trades. Unlike the Strat 101 class, where we talk about the basics and a lot of the fundamentals as it relates to the Strat, this class is really more on the advanced side, looking at these potential high potential, but also high risk trades. And so you've really got to execute these trades with precision and kind of really have a game plan going into the day and not try to wing it, so to speak. So again, for those that are newer traders or new to the strat, it's okay. You don't have to feel obligated to take these trades, or if you just want to sit back and watch and kind of observe how we move on a Friday, that's totally fine. Also, tomorrow is bring a friend day. So bring a friend Friday. You can have somebody come hang out with you and see how we do in the pack, observe, take some trades with us, whatever floats your boat. So with that, that's my disclaimer. Enter at your own risk. As again, these trades can go to zero tomorrow. Theta is extremely high, and just for those who don't know what a 0-day expiration contract is, we are looking at contracts potentially for tomorrow that will expire tomorrow. So we are looking at July 15th expiration contracts for tomorrow. And so with that comes great risk. And so we've got to make sure we're moving appropriately and making sure that we are operating with precision. So enough of the housekeeping. And again, I am 1/5 of the leadership here in the Alpha Pack, Mr. Check My Resume. And we're going to get into these 0-day setups. I do have a process that we utilize in identifying setups for 0 days. It's not the one and only process, but it is the process that I go through. So we'll get into that. And then also, I like to identify setups on the 4-hour time frame. It has seemed to work out very well in terms of us identifying potential setups for Fridays and those that actually go and execute as planned. So we have a good process with doing that. And so I like to identify these trades. I'm not looking for a scalp, so to speak. I'm looking for a trade that could potentially go for, maybe potentially half the day or a couple hours in the morning. I'm looking for things that have relative strength that can potentially keep moving throughout the day. So there's a certain process we can go through to identify that. And then lastly, it's not only the 4-hour setup, but we do like the 4-hour as a time frame we like to identify. But we also look at some daily setups if need be. So with that, let's get right to it. So just to help expedite the process, I typically like to run a 4-hour scan to look for inside candles on the 4-hour, so that I can determine if I want to get an upside or a downside setup. And also there's some additional factors that I come into play as well when identifying tickers. So we'll kind of take it case by case and go through it. I do have my 4-hour scan up. Let me make sure that's the most recent. And so what we'll do now is kind of peruse through these tickers and kind of cherry pick those and that we want to look at and identify if they are worthy of us monitoring for potential trades tomorrow. And then also for those of you listening in, if you got tickers you want me to look at for tomorrow, we're looking for tomorrow. We don't want to spend time on long setups, and all that. This time is really dedicated to finding trades for tomorrow. So if you got tickers you want me to look at, please drop them in the chat. You know how I do. I'll go and look at every ticker y'all drop in there. So let's get into it. So this is my list here. We've got 226 tickers on this inside 4-hour scanner. Obviously, we're not going to go through all 226 of them. So what we'll do is just kind of cherry pick and scan through these and kind of identify tickers. So first off, I see we've got Tilray, DWAC, Sundial, Affirm, LVS. So we've got a few here. Let's take a look. And then also, for me, my preference is to take tickers. I don't like to play like those penny stocks and smaller price tickers for these 0 days. So, you know, not that I have like a dollar amount that I like to stay above, but I think, you know, 15, 20 bucks is probably like as low as I would go on some of these tickers. So some of them I'll skip just by virtue of that. And that's mainly because if I want to continue move on these tickers, I've just seen where a lot of some of those smaller tickers, they'll just kind of get held up at a broad information level or things of that nature. And so it's just one of those things where it's just something I've just observed more so than like there's a rule behind it. So that's just been my thought process. Not that you can't win on those, it's just for the type of trade I'm looking for. It seems like they react very strongly against like daily broad informations. And if you're on the Zoom call today, you heard me talk a little bit about that. So we're gonna take a look at DWAC and then Affirm. Affirm is at $21, which is insane right now. So it doesn't look like I have many broad informations here. Actually, let me get my time frames together. Yep. So this one. Just wanted to see what we had. So we got the inside set up. Looks like looks like it's TTO in here, like a Momo hammer almost on DWAC. Double inside day break to the upside today. Looking like there's potential continuation to the upside. Yeah, this one looks solid. We'll have to look at the options, see how the options play out. But yeah, this one looks solid. But again, we just gotta monitor the options. I'll set an alert on it. Some of that Trump people. Hope y'all ain't got no bias. Y'all to play a Trump stock, right? It's like, I don't want that Trump money. $30 entry level. That's okay. So we got 2 up on the day. Looking for continuation tomorrow. Looks like it's bouncing off of broad information here on the week. So we may try to push up here from there. But yeah, that's what it looks like. So let's keep moving. Let's see, Affirm. I'm gonna just take a look at Affirm and then LVS. So it looks like we got a shooter here on the 4-hour on the Affirm. 2 up on the day. Shooter on the 4-hour. Current inside week. We are 2366 is the trigger. Yeah, so it's more than likely going to stay inside this week, but we do have failed 2 down on the month. So maybe on a long play you could probably maybe consider it, but obviously how the market's been going, you know, some stuff you just may want to just sit tight on. This one just looks like it's flat, so I'm gonna let Affirm be. Looks like last week though it had some juice to it, but we got the shoot on the 4-hour. I'll leave it be. I feel like we're gonna have some better looking setups that we can play. Some of them you just gotta say no to the good and say yes to the best. LVS, Las Vegas Sands. It is hammering here on the 4-hour. 2 up on the day. Looking for continuation tomorrow. Looks like it stopped abruptly at a weekly level broad information, but it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look like it reacted negatively. But we got 2 down week. This, I mean, it's a couple thoughts I have. I guess on the 4-hour setup, looks like this looks like a TTO, honestly. You know, with the gap downs that we had this week. So it looks like we had a TTO forming. Looks like Monday we had the gap down, and it's just been kind of traveling upward since. That could be a good sign going into next week. My second thought is a swing, you know, to the upside, just looking at where it's positioned with a 1-2-2 to the upside. So, you know, this one here looks like it's TT on. The idea is we want to find where it potentially get rejected at, but I have to finish drawing broad informations. But it looks like it stopped abruptly here at this week level broad information. right here around 34, 33. So if it does trigger tomorrow, it would trigger above it. So that would be kind of what you're looking at there. I'll set the trigger on it. I just don't like when things are trapped between broadening formations. I like clear blue sailing. You know, I don't want to have to deal with too much traffic. Excuse me. But excuse me. Continuity's there though. So you know, if we get bullishness, I like it. If we're bullish tomorrow, this one can go. This one here might have some relative strength as well. So let's see.
I don't think you see it.
All right, 2 up on the day. So yeah, also keep an eye on this one. Potentially next week, looks like it fell back into this level and kind of got bought up there. So we'll see if that's for real, if that's sustained. But buyers look like they there right now. Sheesh, that one looks real strong. Let's keep it moving. Probably spent a lot of time on that one, more than I expected. ROBLOX. What we got here? Definitely don't look as good as that double inside day y'all caught last week. Sheesh. That was fire. So we just got sideways action, looks like. We did have a little spike in the morning, but yeah, it just looks sideways. ROBLOX stays inside. It's at a point of control on the 4 hour, so just sitting there. You know, for me, I just leave it alone, let it be. What else we got here? Zillow, UUP. Let's take a look at the dollar, see what the dollar talking about. So UUP, dollar bill, I just want to take a look. It's like we rejected off a yearly BF. It makes sense, so we got rejected. So if we continue lower on this one tomorrow, we can see the market bounce even more. So like UUP. All right. I like UUP to continue to be rejected right there. That's what I should say. All right, next one, XPEV, and then we're gonna look at coin. So XPEV 2 down week, looks like a failed 2 down. We did show some strength after the trigger to the downside. Looks like we're just under a couple broadening formations. So, I mean, looking at this one in comparison to some of the other setups we looked at, this one doesn't look as strong. You've got the cross here on the day. We did have an afternoon hammer, so it does give you a bullish afternoon signal. However, it hasn't given us enough strength throughout the week for me to be like, oh, we got to keep this one on the watch. So this 4 hour candle, if you look at the last week, this whole week, this thing's just been sideways essentially. So I would leave it alone. If you want to, you know, take a look at it, just off this technical, 3 hour, 4 hour setup, the 312 to the upside above 29.97 would be that level. But I guess me personally, I would probably leave it be, considering the other setups I've looked at. It's not horrible. So don't let me bias you on that. Just looking at it in comparison to others. So what we got here? Coinbase. Looks like we got a shooter here in the afternoon session. Inside week. Looks like it cannot get over point of control. It is stuck. Same level point of control on the day. So coin, I'll leave it. It seems like it's having the time to get over the PLC. So I'll let it figure its life out. Moving on to Lee. This thing here got broadening formations all over the place. So Lee, just for learning for me personally, if I see all this chop right here, even if it's giving me a bullish signal, I'm gonna be less inclined to take a trade on it, because why would I take a trade into that? If I'm already in here or I got in down here somewhere, then that's different. Then maybe I'll let it play out. But if I'm trying to take a short-term trade into that, I'm not trying to do that. And sure, there may be the chance that it does like blow through all those broad informations, but the probability of that isn't as likely. So for that reason, I would not consider Lee for a 4-hour trade tomorrow, even though it does have a bullish type setup. Yeah, I wouldn't even. The week though looks good. It made a two down week. Looks like a hammer. But again, I don't like taking trades into all this traffic. So I would let it be. If you're already in it, that's different. But yeah, not for tomorrow. All right, moving on. Delta Airlines. I was feeling love more so this week than any of the other airlines. So that's why I had that one on my watch list. Looks like Delta's trying to show a little buyer, a little bit of strength, but I don't see enough to like really push it significantly. So if we do get bullish movement, it could potentially push up to this next broadening formation level and do similar to what it did on Monday, where it shot up to the broadening formation, got rejected, and then gapped down the next day. So that would be kind of more in line with what I'm thinking. We do have the 312 on the 4-hour above $30.03. You do have you have almost full continuity on the macros. Just need the year to turn green. We have to go look and see what that level is for the year, but you see continuity moving in your favor on this one. So yeah, 39.79 is your level to turn the year back green. So you got work to do. But these other levels they have already flipped green. So that's a positive sign. I just think for tomorrow, I don't know. I think there may be other airlines that I like better, but we're going to mark the level for Delta. I've been feeling the love this week, Southwest. So that's where I've been kind of focusing my attention in terms of airlines. I wouldn't even look at this as like the primary setup, but they've been bullish. So that begs the question of how does love look? So yeah, love hit a broad information, got rejected. So again, I think the airlines kind of ran their course in terms of this short-term move. So I just be kind of mindful of those broad informations above his head. So again, let's keep rolling. Amazon, Juniper. Let's take a look at Amazon and see what the. Ooh, okay. Amazon don't look bad tomorrow. Look at that. $212. So you got a 212 on the 4-hour above, 110.88. I'm gonna set that trigger. See what happens. Not very bullish on XLY at all, but I'll still set the trigger. And we got the inside day as well. 212 on the day above. What is this? 111.18. Why are they doing that? Okay. Okay. 212. Let's keep rolling. Just like to keep an eye on it. Let's keep rolling, and then I'm gonna jump into jump into the chat and see what tickers we got up in there. So Juniper. Juniper doesn't even have the 4-hour setup, but it has daily setup sitting on top of the BF, hammer, like a Momo, almost not even, well, not a Momo hammer, but it's still a hammer. So I like where it sits in terms of this potential move off the broadening formation. 212 on the day, above 28.19. But you got to go check the people at the party. This one right here usually has a lower volume on it, so just have to check to see. But I like the setup. But again, it's not in continuity or anything like that. So again, there's going to be other plays that I feel probably would be more suitable. It's probably the best word that I would say. 8, 16. I'm just setting alerts. See us keep it rolling. Airlines, just to get it out of our system. UAL and AAL. They're both below broad formations. Just kind of consistent with what we saw in the others. CVS, MO. So, all right, let's go check the chat. See what's happening. Hey, Paul, you killing me, bro. I just saw your message, bro. All right, Snow. I think that was too big to show up on the list. That ticker. It's too meaty. All right, 4 hour on Snow. Ugh. I don't like all the conflict on Snow. And the setup doesn't really entice me that well. I mean, I guess the day looks a little bit decent, not to my liking. Yeah, I'll just say the conflict on it doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies. It's probably the best way to say it. Yep, we covered Delta, Johnson & Johnson. Oh yeah, that Johnson & Johnson was smoking today. Woo! Yeah, we got a winner chicken dinner right here. A nice little daily setup. Rail strat tomorrow. $176.01. Yep, Amazon looks straight. Ox. Nah, second inside bar for the double inside days is your trigger. Yeah, and it matters. QCON's on the breakout right now. So your best bet is to find an intraday entry on QCON, because right now it looks like you don't have no entry to get in. So yeah, I would look for an intraday entry tomorrow at some point. Find a TTO to get in on QCON, but it's on the breakout. It's on the beam. You got a month trigger at 146.25. So yeah, you gotta find an intraday. There ain't nothing really there. You need to jump in right now. That train has left the station. Okay, KO. Oh, snap, Lisa. I gotta get, usually that's Browns that's talking about KO. So she got you beat today, Browns. So let's go with the rail strat on the day as a trigger point for Coke. I like that. I like how it sits. We got a level of 62.25, I believe, as the trigger. Let's do 22. So now with this one, we could potentially take this one back to point of control. Let me finish putting in this trigger so I can show you. And for those of you that are new, just understand this is like step one of the process. We're just collecting information. Like, you know, it's not, you just don't take the setups and then you're done. Like there's some additional steps. This is just one step in that process. So here on the day here on Coke, looking at a 2-2 rev, obviously rev strat above 62.25. I think just how my BFs are lined up, but also knowing that Coke usually has a lot of BFs. But I do have levels like just under $63, like 62.82. And then a point of control on the days at 63 even. So for me, those would be like target areas that I'm looking at for a potential day trade. Not a scalp, because I mean there may be pivots before that on a smaller time frame that you could take advantage of. But just based on what I'm seeing for tomorrow, where it could potentially go, I like that $63 level. Looks like point of control as well as a daily broad information converge at that same price level. So I think there's a potential if we do get bullish activity tomorrow and Staples continues to behave like it has today, and get continuation tomorrow, then yeah, that's a realistic possibility for Coke. And then CLX, we did cover Delta already. We set the trigger. Got that 312 over $30.03 on Delta. Set trigger for that one. Clorox, this thing been showing out. Clorox outside week this week, just acting like a grown man. So first trigger on Clorox, we got the 212 on the 4 hour above. What is this? 147.77. Let's see here. And then another thing, because it is an expiration week, there should be more people at the party than usual. So now that I'm thinking about it, so even those that have low volume, like we talked about Juniper earlier, because it is an expiration week, there could potentially be more people at the party, which is typically the case for non-standard weeks versus the monthly expirations. There usually are more people at the monthly expirations, but just wanted to point that out. Even the low volume stocks may have more than normal on this expiration. So you got to check for yourself though. You got to look. Hold on. 212, 148.03. Okay, outside week. Looking for a continuation tomorrow, huh? Chunky soup. Chunky soup. I see what you're doing, Chunky soup. Spread it. All right. Yeah, look like TTO. Test of the broader formations to the downside. Bounce off the monthly BF. Looks like we're gonna go chase the other side of that range. This sets up nicely. This one looks solid. Let's look to see if there's people at the party, but this one looks solid. I like it a lot. Like even if you did commons, this could be one you could take advantage of. I know a lot of people play commons on Chunky Soup because of it being a dividend stock. I mean, this right here looks good. Continuity, everything. Like, hey, if you want to make money, come play this one. All right, to Rev Strat on the day. I mean, man, this got some dynamite setups. That was cheesy, but it is the truth. All right, 49. Let's do. Please, a little slow. All right. Chunky soup look fire. That might be the best setup I've seen. I have to go back and check, but I'm like, Okay, Starbucks. Uh-oh. Okay, Starbucks off the quarterly BF. Just hanging around. It doesn't want to continue down, but it doesn't want to push up either. Double inside months. Ooh. Okay. I will be monitoring that. Look at that day though. Fire alert. Pat Riley alert. 35. Y'all don't follow famous Los. Pat Riley alert. So we're looking for that 322 on the not a 322. 212 on the day. 78, 37. Strong candles. We are getting bullish vibes. So that's why it's we're seeing like predominantly bullish setups, but you know, if we see some downside ones, we're gonna mark those too. But a lot of these are like showing that buyers are present, but not enough to like push them up significantly. It's like one of those things where there's enough buyers to keep it flat, but not like to push it down significantly. So like I like these afternoon candles here on AMC, how they're pushed down. But as you can see, like you get the 2 down bounce, or they gap down or something like that. So just be mindful of those. But this one right here in particular, AMC, like it's flagging. I don't even though it's giving these bullish or bearish afternoon candles, you see what's happening. Like it's still getting bought up. So this one here, I wouldn't look to the downside just because of that reason. It's just not showing enough strength to really push it up significantly. It just seems like it's consolidating. So you got a 122 potentially on AMC above 1568. I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to mark the level either. But if you do play the ticker and you're comfortable with it, go for it. It's not one of those 0 days that I like. It's not a Friday special for me. But no, nothing against it. I let it do what it do. All right. What is this? Nike. Yeah, we had Nike on the list. It hadn't triggered. It's just been bullshitting all week. So no trigger, no trade. So we just been watching. But we do have potential 212 on the 4 hour above 103.68 for a trade tomorrow. We do have a gap fill on the 4 hour back to 104.47. So you got about $1.25 move potentially. We'll have to look at what that percentage of payout. But and then on the day, we got the Chicago set up 312 above 103.80. So there's a potential setup, but it's been trending down and it hasn't really showed much strength to the upside. It's just not giving you a lot of downside moves. Well, they did Monday, Tuesday, but last couple of days just kind of got bought back up, but then got right back down. So I don't like the choppy nature of that. So I would just rather focus elsewhere. So at least for a 0 day tomorrow. Yeah. What you seeing on Nike? Hold on, Ox. What you seeing on Nike, bro? You seeing the inside 4 hour setup? That's what you thinking? Please step to the congregation. This is an interactive class, so you don't have to, But I look at Nike in a different light, I guess, because it hasn't shown the strength. It was on my list for this week, so I have been kind of watching it. So I'm a little jaded because it ain't did nothing yet. In comparison to like some of the others in its sector. It just kind of just been chilling. So I don't know. So yeah, there could be a gap fill play for tomorrow though. That's definitely something that could potentially happen. I don't like it trending down and trying to take it for a 0 day to the upside. So I just wanted to see more information and confirmation out of that one. So that's why
Sorry, Rez. Yeah, I'm here, but you know, I was also looking at the broadening formations, and there's no broadening formation that I have. I've got a 2-day at a, you know, just above the trigger. So that was the other thing I was looking at.
Yeah,
on Nike.
No, yeah,
but you're right. It has been hell of a choppy. But you know, today it was just trading a little bit sideways and up, and I just like it going into that gap with a broadening formation above it. And those 2-day BFs, like you showed us on the SPY, are just so strong.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my thesis on it. But you know,
no, it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, like I said, man, it's I personally want to see more confirmation on it, but I'm also comparing it to other setups that I'm looking at and not
right.
from the microcosm of just Nike in itself. And then also there's a little bit of like, hey, I was looking for this thing to trigger long. So maybe it's just my own bias of rules. Like if you're not going to trigger on the week, then I'm like, I'm not going to play you for a 0 day.
Right. You know, so I'm just looking at the setup, but you know, you mentioning the trend and how it's been trending, and it's just, you know, it's just been a little inconsistent, which makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? So I'm still trying to get a handle on
that's
how
why I
you're
wanted
doing
to dialogue.
Right.
Yeah. No,
cool,
this is good. I like to talk this stuff through because I'm not the end all be all. So like, if you like, hey, I can be convinced, like, you know what I mean? So
right. The other question I had on Nikes, because you see on the days it's a 3-1, so you still got quite a bit of range coming up that 3 to the target at the top. You know, with the today being a hammer, you know, a hammer inside day. So
yeah, no, that's the best looking. That's the best looking part of it to me on the whole.
Right.
Is the day. The day time frame looks beautiful. Looking at like the Chicago setup.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely get the rationale and logic, and you're right. There aren't any macro BFs in the way. I would personally probably target, if I did, you know, take it, I would look at target to be the, you know, that 105.88 or the top of that 3, that point of control.
Right.
I don't know if I would feel confident about it getting above point of control on the day.
Right.
So that would be like, cool. if we was like, all right, we're gonna take the trade and this is how we're gonna plan it out. That would be like the plan. Like I would,
perfect.
I would plan it to that point of control and not have any expectation above that.
Cool. Yeah. All right, thanks, brother. Great.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love it. This is good. Yeah. All right, next one here. Lisa with Bling. Ooh. Where's Bling? Where you find this at? Where'd you find this? I like this. All right. We got red on the week. 50 cents. That is a pretty strong move though. 4-hour setup here is strong. 2 down. What is this? 2 down hammer on the day, sitting on top of the BF. It's just been tracking sideways for so long. What do we got here? Looking at the microcosm of just tomorrow, we got a favorable trade to the upside. I'm going to set the alert for the 4-hour. We've got that 212 above 1762. But again, this one's just been going flat. Just got to monitor it because again, we don't need large moves out of these tickers to get high percentages. So you just need to go check it out on the Analyze tab. And And if your case is to the affirmative, like we're going to take it to the upside, just understand what your targets need to be for you to achieve what it is you want to get accomplished in your plan. But yeah, this 212 to the upside looks good. Obviously, your first target is like right at the trigger point. You could potentially look for Thursday's high, but I don't know if that's even worth the juice on the squeeze. You know, I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze on that. So then you would look back to what is this, Monday. So you look to Monday's high of 1821 as a potential target, but that is a 70-cent move, or yeah, close to 70-cent move. So that is pretty significant for this ticker. So just be mindful of that. I like the setup; it looks nice. Looks like buyers are showing up. We just need, if the market did the double gap down today, as Boss Gang would say, it hasn't had an opportunity to break out. But again, this is all relative to like what SPY wants to do tomorrow. So if we do push up on a lot of these tickers, because what I'm noticing is that you've got tickers that are very dependent upon SPY and how they're going to move tomorrow, which is fine if SPY is bullish, and if it's bearish, then you got to know where to go with that as well. But I really like to identify tickers with relative strength, and I think that goes back to your question too, Ox. Like, if I see something like a ticker that's been moving up already over like the course of weeks or months or whatever, I'm more inclined to look favorably upon that one to take a trade on versus one that's kind of been either flat or trending downward, even if it has a very good looking setup for the next day. That's just how my mind works on it. Not to say that trade doesn't work, because a lot of times they do go off, but it's just I play the probability, so I don't mind like not catching every single one that goes off. So, but I think it's just like that process that you have to have, or rules, whatever. That's just something you want to just incorporate for yourself, whatever makes sense to you. So that's how I look at it. So in terms of Blink, it just looks like it's just been going flat for a while now. So yes, while the setup looks fire for tomorrow, that would be like, I'm going to take a positive outlook as well as a negative one. So that would be my other setup is like, it keeps, it just looks flat. So I don't know how, if I want to bank on that versus taking something that's already been moving in force and I'm just getting on a moving train. So that's the only thing. It's really about your risk management. So, but yeah, the setup looks great. I don't have any qualms about it. Just getting into my head a little bit. This is how I filter some of these tickers. How are we doing that? All right. Okay, here we go, man. DDog downside. I'm buying what you selling. So what we got here? DDog shooter 4 hour. I like it. Entry below 93.40. I also like. We did have a 2 down. Looks like it bounced and created somewhat of a red hammer. We are in force on the week. And we've got a shooter on the month as well. And we've been trending down pretty much every day over the last 2 weeks. So yeah, I mean, you ain't get no argument from me. Continuity to the downside. Shooter setup 212. Forget about it. Only concern would be if like SPY wanted to push up QQQ or whatever, XLK, but that would be my only concern about it. You could get like a small pop if SPY wants to push it up or QQQ wants to go up, but this looks good. As it stands right now, this is a fire downside setup. 93.44. And we'll just be looking for continuation on the day. You can see it got bought up a little bit. There are some wicks created. Looks like there might be some buyers at that price level, but you see where it's trending. So that may have been why that wick got created this morning, but as you can see, came right back down. So yeah, DDog downside, I like it. Like that. GIS, I'm talking about a little GIS. Oh, okay. Here's the problem with GIS, that we shot right down into a monthly level BF, and while it didn't show enough strength to go crazy after it hit, it did show buyers were present at that level off of that BF. So I think like my thought process would be, it's the same concept as me taking a trade to the upside with the broad information above my head. I don't want to take a trade into traffic. So that would be my only thought. The other thing is the trigger point is like right at the broad information level. So if it does trigger, it's going to trigger like below that BF level. So that would be like kind of my synopsis on that. So I mean, for GIS, mark the levels. I'm not sure if we will get the push down for Staples tomorrow. To me, knowing how Staples behaves, this is a TTO on GIS, and it may go sideways, but it's going to trend right back up to probably fill this gap. But that would be my thought. And then I'll also look at XLP on this GIS, and XLP is telling us it's going green tomorrow. So I would just be mindful of that in relation to GIS. I don't want to trade against the grain. So if the rest of the sectors going off tomorrow, which is giving us some bullish looking, like this this thing looks like it may do the damn thing tomorrow, this rev strat on the day. I would just like, I don't want to get the one put in the sector that's going off. Even if it does stay flat or doesn't go off like the rest of them, I just kind of think in that manner. I don't want to go against the grain. So that would be my thought. TEAM, team. I don't think I'm familiar with this ticker, but it looks like, again, it is trending to the downside. I do not have any broadening formations drawn, but we do have the 212 to the downside below 183.54. That would be your trigger level. We'll just be looking for continuation on the day. So very clear cut, straightforward on that one. Draw your broad information level so you can see where price could potentially bounce, or all that good stuff. Next one, Micron. Micron, I did have ON on my list, and ON, they tried some sneaky mess with these chips at the end of the day. They ran it up last few minutes. So it set off a trigger on, so that last 15-minute candle, chips kind of moved significantly. So not sure what that was. Seemed like an Axe Capital move from Billions. They're trying to hide something. So MU went outside day. ON triggered the week, went reversal on the week. Looks like this one here is trying to go 212 tomorrow. But as you can see, we are fighting through broad formations. So if we get continuation tomorrow, you do got room back to like 62.50 on MU. So yeah, we just looking for a continuation. If we get 2 up on the day, that will be kind of what I'm looking for. Again, the market pushes up. That's kind of what I'm looking for. So yeah. Cool. Oh, snap, stratosphere. Now you done pulled up the Friday special, TGT. I haven't even looked at TGT chart, but just historically, it is a Friday special for the pack leaders. This thing is a Monty printer when it wants to do what it do. And looking like this daily setup looking real scrumptious. So we're gonna set the triggers here. I gotta go back and see if I got all my current broad informations because I don't know. It looks like I'm missing one on the week, but it doesn't look like it's an interference. So yeah, let me get my BF set on target later. I'll get that going. So yeah, target looks fire. So we got what's this? 212 on the day above 146.55. 146.55. All right. That looks like a very clean setup. Looks like we also got a, what is this, 312 potential on the week. Oh, is that what we doing? Is that what we doing? Okay. What is this? 312 above. What level is this though? May not even be relevant. Okay, well, 150.13. It can definitely do that, but we'll just keep the alert set. Yeah. We like target. We'll take advantage of a short pop if it wants to do that. All right. Okay, let's keep rolling. All right. Looks like we ran through the chat. Let's take a look at a couple more here on the list. We got through that pretty quick. Ooh, look at CVS. Ooh. Pat Riley alert. Pat Riley alert. Oh, yeah. So we got continuation on the 4 there, setting up on CVS. Rail strat on the day. We could target broad information around 94.25. That'd be a smooth move right there on CVS. Contracts should not be very expensive either. Yeah, CVS don't look bad at all. 92, 98. Okay. Like these setups. Okay, hey, that's clean. That's a textbook right there. Hammering off the BF, trying to go test the other side. I like it. We keep what if we get what we got so far today, going into tomorrow. Yeah. Then we got MO. I know that boy Cam was on that MO. We got the 2 down hammer on the day. Just right at point of control, just under a yearly broad information. It's kind of just been orbiting that yearly BF for the last couple weeks. We do have 4-hour setup here. We're looking at a 212 above 41.68. We're about 5 cents away from that. And you know, MO is not one that has to go very far in terms of price, underlying price movement. But I don't like taking trades under broad informations. But I will take trades to the broad informations. So I'll put this on the alert list just to kind of monitor it. I don't know in comparison to what other trades I've looked at if this one would be one of the top, you know, primary ones. But setup looks strong. You know, as far as the setup goes, it looks fire. But it looks like it's gonna have to fight above that major BF, and I don't want to be there for that. 68. I want path of least resistance. And I'm not gonna worry about the day setup. We know what it is. TLT. What you doing over here, player? Okay. All right. Shooter. On the 4-hour. Shooter back to point of control. All we've been doing is kind of orbiting this broad information around 115. Well, 114. So I mean, you got the shooter on the 4-hour. below 115.37. So that's not far. But we do have the inside day on the day. Chicago set up. So you got like, it could go either way technically, which is kind of how they like to set people up for these Fridays. And then also bonds have been going with SPY. So they've been converging while UUP, that's why we looked at it earlier, the dollar has been going off while the other two have kind of stayed down. But we see that UUP hit the top of a BF and was rejected today. And coincidentally, the market showed a little bit of bullishness. So, you know, it's one of those situations where you can see kind of things lining up and the market being bullish, and then you see the bonds going down. So there's like, like they were converging, now they're kind of diverging. So I think they're just playing a little game with us right now. So just be woke, head on a swivel. So TLT, just based on what I just said, I don't know if I would want to just play it tomorrow, but it could go either way. Even though it's giving you like buyers are present, we've got the shooter on the 4 hour. We do have a 312 to the upside tomorrow. It's giving you indecision on the bonds. I don't know if I want to play indecision. So I think what I know is that it does not want to go up. It's just been chilling. So I think for me, I would just be more inclined to think that it's going to push down tomorrow. Do a little more topsy-turvy, be more in line with what it typically does in terms of behavior. If the bullishness happens that we're expecting with the market, typically the market's bullish, you'll see bonds down. Also, the dollar would be down, which is UUP. So then those two being down with the market being up is in alignment with what typically would occur. But 80% of the time, TLT will go against SPY. So we're looking at that 20% is what I'm getting at. So anyway, so it's a trifecta, Quilla boy. So you got the dollar, you've got bonds, and you got the market. So it's like SPY basically. And so most people think it's just like SPY versus TLT. And TLT goes opposite of SPY, but it's actually a trifecta. So TLT does go opposite of SPY like 80% of the time. I forget the percentage. It's significant. And then UUP kind of stays flat. But typically, if two are up, one has to be down, or if two are down, one has to be up. So because we've been seeing, we talked about it on the call, that the bonds and SPY have been running together. And so then that told me to go look at the dollar. And so when I checked out UUP, it's been breaking out. So I was like, that makes sense. Bonds and the market were going down, but UUP was going crazy. So it's a trifecta. So all three could never go down at the same time is really what the point is. So just know bonds, market, and the dollar bill, they're a trifecta, and they kind of rotate against each other. But SPY, the most common thing is SPY and TLT going opposite. Yeah. But that's only like 80% of the time. So that other 20% is what we've seen recently. So yeah. So yeah, it's a little bit confusing, but like once, we can, once we dialogue more about it, but I know you get that. So sorry for the long-winded response, but took us off track. But no, that was good. That was a good question. Some people don't know that, so that was good. Next one, we got GPS Gap, $8.23. I'm going to pass. It did look bullish though. We got Love. We got Play. Let's take a look. I think I already looked at Love though. Yeah, we did. And then Play is not actually. Play is looking like a downside move. I mean, in the short term, it's just I don't like the conflict on it, and even though travel, I mean, and all that's more discretionary though. That's Dave and Buster's, but I don't like it. It's been trending down. It got a pop in the last 2 days, but that ain't enough for me to put my money in. And we got a shooter on the afternoon session this afternoon. Looks like we created a green shooter light candle on the day. 2 down on the week, even though we did get some buyers present after hitting the lows. 2 down on the month. We got continuity to the downside. I'm more or less looking at this as a TTO on play, and it's gonna go right back to the downside. You know, similar to the TTOs when they gap down and go back up. Same concept, just the inverse. PayPal downside. Yup, that would be another one. Again, trending down, 212, below 70.07. $70.10 will be my alert level. Okay, then on the day, looks like they tried to buy it off the lows, but we got entry below 68.71. 68.71. Okay, let's keep rolling. That's cool. Yeah. We did look at AAL, Brenton, but I'll go back over it real quick. Similar to the others, they kind of broke out over this last week and came and hit the top of broad formation levels. That's pretty synonymous with like all of them. They all went and hit tops of broad formations and were rejected either yesterday or today. And looking flat, they went flat in the afternoon. So you could be looking at a potential retest back to the upside above $14.40, or you could look at to the downside, which is, you know, where price is actually closer to downside move 312, which would kind of continue that rejection down below $14.18. And so that could be your other potential angle on that. And, you know, just because of that broad information rejection, and your first target would be like $13.70. And that should be pretty significant on the percentage scale of your contracts. So just a little downside move there, even though the candles are green. You know, I'm looking at it from they ran its course, it's getting rejected at a major BF level. Now we're going to go and test the other side of the range to the downside. So it just hasn't told us that yet, but it's given us an indication. So if this triggers down, that would be what I'm looking for. I like that. I like that. So keep going. Netflix, WBA, KHC, catch up. Okay. Inside day setup, KHC 312 Chicago. Y'all like this, huh? This right here, look, this look clean. 312 Chicago 4 hour. This textbook right here, this textbook Stratton. Right here, 312 off the day, broad information. Let's go. 3883. $38.86. Bing bong. Like that KHC, you know, Pat, we already in that. That boy Cam alerted as well as myself. So we both feeling real strong about that one. Let's see, eBay. All right, so eBay. This is my thing. Like, I really love eBay. But like, I'm looking at this candle like, man, like, it looks nice, it looks great and all, but then I'll be like, man, this shit's some bait. So like, a part of me is like, oh, this looks really good. Buyers are present. And then I'm like, well, we've been trending down every day this week. And then, you know, so I think you have like competing thoughts when you come up to tickers like this, where like it looks great in the microcosm of the short-term setup, but then you go back to look overall, it's like, well, shit, it's been trending down since March the 21st. It's been going down. So I'm like, actually it's been going down before that, October of last year. So I'm kind of in my mind like, am I gonna catch the upside move, you know, on this thing, or am I gonna get, you know, caught up in the trap kind of deal? Or can I just catch this little, you know, little pop and then pop a little doo-wop and then move on about my business? So, you know, there's a couple competing thoughts. I do like the candle. It looks very bullish on the 4 hour, like I said. But again, it's conflict. I would just say enter at your own risk, but it's not a terrible setup. But I just don't like to take those to the upside when they're trending down. So while I'll consider it and I'll throw it on, I'll throw it on the not the scanner, but I'll throw it on the analyze tab and I'll review contracts. But I would look at it more from a secondary supplementary play standpoint, only because I'm going to look at it in comparison to other setups I have. And then there's other setups that are in full time frame continuity with bullish setups that are moving to the upside. So then when I look at it from that perspective, I'm like, oh, well, eBay looks good on the 4 hour, but hell, this one looks better on all time frames. So then I kind of weigh that out myself. So then I may have it on my list, but it may be looked at as a secondary play versus like, these are the ones I am dead set on focused on in the morning. So like if they trigger, I'm playing them, versus others like, well, if my primary plays don't go off or go the right way or something, then I'll look at these others as secondary plays kind of deal. So that's kind of how I synthesize it in my mind. It's not like, oh, they're just black and white, good and bad. It's more so like a spectrum. So, you know, I have my best and then I kind of work my way down in like a tiered system. That's the way that I best do it internally. So eBay setup looks good on the 4 hour, 2 down day. Looking at entry above 42.36 on the day, entry on the 4 hour above 42.11. So that's eBay. Not terrible. Just giving you some perspective. So after the African Americans, look at them. They gapped down. They did not come back to a BF level unless I don't have it drawn. But they bounced. So I have to see where they, what that was. But looks like here we've got the 4 hour setup above $40.87. We know that materials have not had a lot of strength recently. But it looks like they came down to a level to where buyers are finding value is kind of what I'm thinking. So it came back, we're almost at this quarterly BF level. I don't think it's actually touched it just yet. So I think there's still some more downside movement. So overall, I think there's more downside movement. However, for tomorrow on the 4 hour setup, looks like we could get a rev strap move on the day above that 41.15 level, and then close the gap, which is very small, but we could close that gap. So yeah, I think this one sets up nicely to push to the upside tomorrow. But I think like overall is more downside movement. So, one of those things where to push up and then come back down. But I think for tomorrow, looks solid. Looks solid. I have no issues with that, other than like, you look at continuity, you're like, damn, this thing been trending down. So like you could, like I just look at it in probabilities. I'm like, damn, it's got a lot of red time frames. I'm like, man, I might look at something else. But the setup looks fire. Looks like buyers showing up. So you may be able to catch it, and shit, it was there. Like I don't have no objections to it. I'll just say, you got the skill to manage that, but I'm just saying, generally speaking, for newer people, stick to the ones that kind of have the uptrend. Like I don't have nothing against it, because it could very well go off tomorrow. I can't predict what everything's gonna do tomorrow, but with the continuity, I would steer people away from it for that reason. But with the gap down, I feel there's a potential gap fill. It's two scenarios. It's either gonna go sideways or it's gonna go try to fill the gap tomorrow. So I don't know if it'll go beyond that, but yeah. So anyway, spent more time than I needed to on AA. It's not like the primary. So next one, Prime Minister. Again, do we want to, Paul said it best, dip buying. Are we going to take advantage of the dip buying that looks like it's showing up here? Take this one back, looks like a gap fill back to 90.56, which is almost a dollar move on PM. You've got entry above 89.71. That should give you the 212 to the upside. Also 2 down on the day, hammer, rev strat, your entry would be above 89.88. So there is a potential for a nice move to the upside to go fill that gap. Beyond that, I wouldn't feel too comfortable with taking the upside move. I don't think I have to say much. You can just look at the charts, but that would be my synopsis on that. If SPY gives it to you, then yeah, it should be good. But if it doesn't, that's why you gotta find relative strength. You want relative strength because it's gonna do what it's gonna do regardless of what SPY does. That's the whole idea, concept behind that. So now, Twitter. This is like a clean. This was like a nice setup to the downside. Looks like we had there's like a gap down, and we TTO went back to go fill the gap, and then it looks like we got rejected off the gap fill, and we now have 2 inside setups. We do have a 2 down hammer on the week, so that does look clean from a week standpoint, but all signs indicate this thing is going back down to put us back in continuity to the downside. We need to push below 34.60 to take the week back red, but it looks like that's what we're gonna try to do. So I got entry on the 4-hour below 36.22. I know Boss Gang, somebody, I think it was Boss Gang playing this. 36. All right, so oh shit, I'm tripping. Okay, and then the day also rev strat on the day. Oh, not the rev strat, 212. Sorry, 36.19. Okay. All right. We got to keep some downside setups in our pocket just in case the market tries to be funny with us tomorrow. We're gonna be prepared one way or the other. I think one area we didn't cover was energy, and I wanted to point out the fact that we are at a level on energy where we could see like a little short move to the upside. As I previously mentioned, we are now out of seasonality on energy. So we don't have the benefit of like the fundamentals in our favor. We do have like war catalysts and stuff like that, but in terms of like the seasonality, that 6-month run we've been on, that is no longer there. If we get bullish movement, we're going to get it due to recession as well as the war and the continued pressures, the cost pressures around like the oil and gas markets. But Q3 should be a time where we should, we typically will be looking at things to pull back somewhat, which is shown early on. But I think in the case of tomorrow, looks like it's giving you a potential setup off the lows. Looks like buyers like Oxy in particular right here. So I am looking at a 312 on the 4-hour above 57.33. I'm gonna put that in 57. cracking. We got 2 down hammer. We didn't quite touch the BF, but I do like the way buyer showed up on this one. I'm going to market and monitor it, because if we get the oily futures moving in the morning, this could be one we need to be watching. $57.72. So, what else? What else we got? I think we about ready to wrap it up. Right. So yeah. So Desh, like that's the whole thing. So that's why I kind of point out different factors about these tickers, because for that very reason, you can go by and identify a bunch of setups that have all like the 312 or whatever. However, how do you go about filtering that down to a manageable list, for one, but then two, the best, or not the best, but the highest probability trades? How do you know which ones to select versus not select if they have similar looking setups and things of that nature? And so that's why I like to point out continuity as one key indicator. If you've got continuity, in the direction you want to go on like the macros and things of that nature, I tend to lean towards more of those versus ones that are in conflict. Because again, this is a shorter trade that I'm in, so I just want to find continuity. I don't want to guess or hope that buyers are present or that buyers will show up. I want to just hop on something that's already showing strength. I just need to find an entry. And so that's one piece of it. So that's a filter for me as well. So I've said it multiple times, like if the continuity is not right, I'm going to prioritize the ones that are in continuity over the ones that are not. Just from a probability standpoint, you got to put yourself in positions to win, and that's how you do that. And then the other piece, and this gets into the additional steps of like identifying. So we just did one step. We just went and identified setups. We collected the information and the data. Now we've got to go analyze the data. We've got to go next step. Now we've got to go and draw broad informations if you don't have them. Then you start to make a determination. You're like, this looked good till I put a broad information on it. I got 2 or 3 broad informations right above my head. Or if I'm looking to the downside, I got some right below trigger. This don't look as, favorable or, as attractive as it did earlier. And so that's a part of your filtering process as well. So you draw those BFs, you're going to exclude and cross them off because of the broad informations and how they sit. You're like, I don't want to take that risk. Then after you go and put them on the analyze tab, you're going to see, oh, well, some of these, they don't pay up to the level that I would expect for a 0-day trade. Minimum for us, we're looking at 100, 200% trades on 0 days, minimum. If we're looking for 30, 40, 50% on our 0-day trades, the juice is not worth the squeeze for you to put in that much risk for a 50% trade on a 0-day. Like the risk is not worth it. So minimum, we've got to be doubling our money. And that's like if it just doesn't go as planned and it just failed, like it didn't have the juice it needed and just, it tapered off 100, 200%. That's fine. But we really are looking for those bangers. And it's not like it's a lotto type thing. I do this class particularly to show people that this ain't no lotto process. We have a very intentional way of going about identifying and selecting tickers that have a tendency to move very well on those Fridays. And it's a very specific thought process behind it. And so those are some of the nuanced things that I try to point out during this call. Is just like, hey, setup looks good. Is the continuity right? It was the rest of the sector doing? Is it the only one in that sector doing this? Not that that's like a bad thing, but when you're considering like taking trades and we're bearish and there's choppiness, you really want to find things that have relative strength in either direction and are performing regardless of what SPY is doing. And if you can find those and identify those prior to the trading day, or at least have like a set list of those that you potentially that will, as you get into, so we took, I don't know how many tickers. I'm going to go through and filter down. I'm going to draw BS. I'm going to look at contracts. all that, and then I'm gonna evaluate return on investment on the analyze tab. And by the time I'm through, I'm gonna have probably a list, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15, if that. And that takes me, you know, some time to go through. It's methodical, but it works. It's consistently work. You know, we've got a lot of, you know, examples, and so I don't, you know, so I'm pretty comfortable in utilizing that process and sharing that with everybody. So it's just really about execution. So we go through this process to make sure we're prepped and ready to go, because we don't need to be asking about the plays during the game. Like we need to know the playbook now. What's the strategy? How we gonna make adjustments if they try to throw something else at us, if they gap us down, or if they try to go bear us on us, we gonna flip it and we gonna play VIX or something. You know, like we gotta have all those contingencies in place in our mind before we even get to the trading day tomorrow. So then tomorrow, all we focus on is execution. You know what I mean? So like that's the whole idea about this. This ain't no lotto situation. Like we really intentionally do this. And so I just want to be able to, you know, help answer the questions and be able to show people that. So yeah, I mean, I probably gave you a longer answer than I wanted, but yeah. And then, oh yeah, so A Lizzle. So for oil and energy, so it's typically you're gonna get seasonality that begins between December, so the winter months, all the way through June. As a oil stockholder, I've seen a tendency for my oil stocks to hit their highs in the month of June. And typically the start of their run is like end of December going into January. So like Q1, like year after year, it seems like energy and oil just goes crazy. And so what you have is during the winter months, you got natural gas, obviously, because people are trying to heat their homes and things of that nature. So you have high usage during those months for natural gas. And then that translates and transitions into the travel season where people are traveling, planes are flying. And so you have a high usage of, you know, jet fuel and oil because of that. And so you have that 6-month window where it's just going to be extremely bullish, and you can just pretty much not play anything, but you can play a lot and safely understand that throughout that 6-month period. The main thing is just managing the trades you're in, because it's a manipulated sector. So during expiration weeks and, you know, monthly expirations, they like to manipulate the price because they don't want people to you know, expire exercise contracts in the money, which then lessens their ability to accumulate the asset. So during that 6-month period, as long as you can play those ebbs and flows appropriately, you can come out like a bank robber during that 6-month period. And so what we have right now is, just because of the war as well as the inflation going on, there's potential for this to extend through Q3. But we've hit lows as expected. So we're looking to see if we're going to get a bounce off of energy, or if it's going to continue in its normal seasonal pattern. So yeah, so Q3 you would look to see how low energy could go, and then you would want to, you know, kind of, if you're looking at shares, you know, you may want to try to find the lows here in Q3, and then prepare for a rotation going into Q4 in Q1. So I mean, last year we took entry on December 27th, so we were like pretty much right at January. So you could have technically have waited all the way, you know, through a good part of Q4 as well. And so you don't have to rush it. You know, it's gonna tell you. It's gonna tell you. So like it's just one of those things. But if you're just buying shares, like you know, Q3 is not a bad time to do that either. It'll probably hit its lows and then go sideways until it's ready to go off again. And then blue collar, no, I did not go over Mickey D's. Damn, why y'all trying to hold out? I see. Thank you. I see how they trying to do, man. Hey, holding out over here. Holding out. Mickey D's 212 on the day. That's a strong 212 too. 253.10. Let's get level for entry. Oh yeah, this looks good. I think the main thing to be mindful of on this one is this broadening formation above his head here on the day. So if we get the juice and it gets through that, strongly, you got room. 259 level, 258, high 258. So yeah, that one could be one to this would be a interesting play right here. It looks like it just keeps bumping his head on this BF. It doesn't want to go down. So I would be monitoring it. Macros are looking good. You only got the year to turn green. Yeah, my only qualm would be the BF right there. That would be the only thing that would like give me pause is the BF right there. But outside of that, I like it. Outside weak bounce. Yeah, I mean, looks good to me. So yeah, if we can get over that BF, so maybe if it triggers, you want to see it get through the BF first. But I mean,
where do you have your BF for it at? Is it right? Is it a quarterly?
no, it's a weekly. Well, I have a quarterly like around 259, like high 258s, 259. But I have a weekly just above the high a day, right around 253, 34.
Oh, okay. I don't see that. I don't have that one drawn.
Yeah, so that one is from.
So I had a magnitude level drawn on April, and it keeps like going up to that and coming right back through it.
Yeah, so this one is from the week of January the 3rd, that outside week at the highs. So I connect, so it's from the bottom of that broadening from that bottom of that candle, and I connect it back to the previous week's candle. And so that's the BF I'm referring to. Yeah, let's go to January 3rd and then connect one candle back.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yep.
Yep, I missed that one.
And it's hit that BF like multiple times. So that's the only one that would be like one to be mindful of. But outside of that, macros look good. I mean, you cooking with grease.
What do you like I'm also swinging that. How do you feel about when it keeps bouncing off of it like that? Is it good that it just keeps retesting it, saying that I'm going to break through this
Yeah,
eventually, or
it's showing me that buyers are present. The only question is how long are they going to stay there and push, and continue to buy and hold it up. Looking at the price level, it's in its trading range. So I could see it potentially pushing up to maybe close to 260 and getting through this week level BF eventually. But I see the next level, that quarterly BF around 259, 260 as like probably maybe a rejection area. It seems like it's been rejected off that a few times. And that's a quarterly BF.
okay.
This weekly one, it seems like it's just going to have to chop through it a little bit. But like, again, I was saying tomorrow, with the strength that it showed today, it could break through tomorrow. And if it does that, then you're looking at the 260 level, 259.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thanks for letting me bounce that off you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Yeah, so any other questions before I wrap up the call? Damn, we did 90 minutes today. So, yeah, this was good. This was rich. A lot of feedback, a lot of good questions, a lot of fire setups. So if there aren't any more questions or any feedback, then I will let y'all go. And y'all have a wonderful evening, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow morning. I'll get my watch list up here in a couple hours. And I'll catch y'all in the morning. All right. Peace.